All right, so ready to dive into a story that might just make you rethink some assumptions?
Always.
Okay, so imagine you're, flipping through a family photo album, right?
Hmm.
And there, in a picture from your grandparents' trip to India, you see it.
A swastika.
A swastika, yeah. But it's not the symbol of hate we immediately think of, the Nazis. It's the ancient
Mhm.
swastika,
Right.
a symbol of peace and prosperity. In Hinduism and Buddhism for centuries, it's a jarring contrast.
Definitely.
And that unexpected juxtaposition takes us to the fascinating story of Bhagat Singh Thind.
Finn was an Indian immigrant. He served in the U.S. Army during World War I,
Fought for this country.
believed in the American dream.
Okay.
But his path to citizenship hit a major roadblock. He was denied naturalization because, according to the laws at that time, he wasn't considered white.
Not white enough. And here's where things get really interesting, right? To fight for his citizenship, Thind actually invoked the very theory that would later be twisted by the Nazis.
The idea of an ancient Aryan race.
And to understand how this all unfolded, we need to go way back in time to explore the origins of language itself.
Think about it. Languages from opposite ends of the world, like English and Hindi, sharing common roots. It's mind-boggling, really, but that's what we see with the Indo-European language family.
Yeah, and in the late 18th century, a British scholar named William Jones, he was studying Sanskrit in India, and he started to notice something, striking similarities between Sanskrit, Latin, and Greek.
It was
I
revolutionary.
was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Jones's work sparked a wave of research into the origins of the Indo-European languages. And this is where our story takes us to the vast Eurasian steppes and a nomadic people known as the Yamnaya.
Yamnaya.
Archaeologists started uncovering these distinctive pit graves across Eurasia, and through genetic analysis, they linked them to the Yamnaya people thousands of years ago.
So picture this. These skilled horsemen, herders, roaming the steppes with their wheeled vehicles, spreading their culture and language far and wide. It really paints a vivid picture of how interconnected our world has been for millennia.
Absolutely. But it's crucial to remember we can't impose modern racial categories onto ancient peoples.
Right, like we can't look at them through our modern lens.
Sadly, that's exactly what happened. The discovery of the Indo-European language family, meant to highlight the connections between people, was distorted to promote very dangerous ideologies.
So this beautiful finding about how we're all connected through language gets twisted.
Twisted.
And that brings us back to Bhagat Singh Thind and his fight for citizenship. He was trying to use this warped Aryan theory to argue for his whiteness, which, claimed a link between him and a supposed ancient white race.
It's a stark reminder how easily scientific discoveries can be twisted to fit harmful agendas.
Absolutely, and that distortion, it had a key architect, Alfred Rosenberg, a prominent Nazi ideologue. He took this fascinating linguistic discovery and turned it into, well, a weapon. He crafted a racist narrative about a superior Aryan race originating in Germany.
And tragically, his ideas had a devastating impact.
Rosenberg completely ignored the complexities of cultural exchange and migration that shape languages. He manipulated history, created a dangerous myth.
Rosenberg's work became central to Hitler's ideology, fueling the horrors of the Holocaust.
It's a stark reminder of the devastating consequences when we allow fear and prejudice to cloud our understanding of science and history.
Yeah.
Okay, so now buckle up because this is where things take an even stranger turn.
Himmler, one of Hitler's top lieutenants, was obsessed with this idea of a pure Aryan race, sent an expedition all the way to Tibet.
To Tibet. Why Tibet?
He had this bizarre belief that the Aryans originated from the mythical lost city of Atlantis. He was convinced Tibet held the key to unlocking the secrets of this master race, sent a team of scientists there to search for evidence of this supposed Aryan ancestry. It might sound like something out of a fictional thriller, but it really happened.
They went to Tibet, measuring people's skulls, documenting facial features, collecting fingerprints.
On this misguided quest for racial purity, completely divorced from actual science or any respect for Tibetan culture.
It's a prime example of how pseudoscience can be used to justify truly harmful actions.
And it's worth noting the irony here. While the Nazis were promoting this idea of a superior Aryan race, they were at the same time persecuting and murdering millions of people, including those they deemed inferior, like Jews and Roma, who ironically also have Indo-European linguistic roots.
It's chilling how easily these twisted ideas can lead to real-world atrocities. And it brings us back to Bhagat Singh Thind, who, remember, was trying to use this distorted Aryan theory to argue his case for U.S. citizenship.
Yeah.
So what did the Supreme Court have to say about all of this?
Well, the Supreme Court actually rejected the idea that language equals race. They ruled that Thind, despite his claims of Aryan ancestry, didn't meet the legal definition of white, based on the common understanding of the term at the time.
So he won, right?
Yeah.
Got his citizenship?
Not quite. Here's the real kicker. Even though the court rejected the flawed Aryan theory, they still denied Thind's citizenship, based on his appearance.
So they basically said, you don't look white to us.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Which is a shockingly arbitrary and subjective standard.
It's unbelievable. They get the scientific part right, but still uphold a racist decision.
Exactly. And the ramifications of this decision went far beyond Thind himself. The U.S. government began denaturalizing other South Asian Americans who had previously been granted citizenship, all based on this flimsy notion of whiteness that had no real scientific or legal grounding.
It's a sobering reminder of how deeply ingrained these racist policies were in the U.S. legal system. It's like this case exposed the hypocrisy at the heart of American immigration policies.
The Thind case is a stark reminder that even when the legal system gets something right, like acknowledging that language and race are distinct, the underlying motivations can still be deeply flawed and discriminatory. And this wasn't an isolated incident. The Thind case had a ripple effect, fueling increasingly restrictive immigration policies throughout the 20th century. It's a legacy that continues to impact immigration debates even today.
It reminds us that we can't just look at laws on paper. We have to understand the historical and social context that shaped them. It's a lot to unpack, for sure. But Thind's story doesn't end there, does it? Didn't you say he eventually became a citizen?
Yes. Thankfully, there's a positive turn to this story. In 1935, Congress passed a law granting citizenship to all veterans of World War I, regardless of race. This finally opened the door for Thind to be recognized as belonging to the country he had served.
So, despite being denied initially, Thind's service to his adopted country ultimately paved the way for his rightful place as an American citizen. That's a testament to his perseverance and his unwavering belief in the promise of America.
It is. He went on to have a successful life in the U.S., got married, had children, and became a respected author and speaker. He even gave a speech titled, "What America Means to Me," which is incredibly poignant considering everything he went through.
It's a story of resilience in the face of adversity, and a reminder that individuals can, at times, overcome systemic injustice. But it also highlights the responsibility of society as a whole to recognize and rectify these injustices.
Absolutely. The Thind case, while specific to a particular time and place, speaks to broader themes of belonging, identity, and the power of narratives.
We touched on the swastika, the complex history of language, and the dangers of twisting scientific discoveries to fit harmful agendas. It's been quite a journey.
And all of this stemmed from one man's fight for his right to be called an American. It really highlights the importance of understanding history, not just as a collection of facts, but as a living narrative that shapes our present and future.
And speaking of narratives, let's circle back to the swastika for a moment. It's incredible how this ancient symbol, representing peace and prosperity in some cultures, was so effectively weaponized by the Nazis.
It's a prime example of how symbols can be manipulated and reinterpreted to serve very different, even opposing agendas. The Nazis intentionally distorted the original swastika, rotating it and using a stark black color scheme, in direct contrast to the colorful and auspicious swastika found in Hindu and Buddhist traditions.
It's like they were deliberately trying to corrupt its meaning, twisting a symbol of harmony into an emblem of hate. And that makes you think about the symbols we encounter every day, right? The stories they tell, the power they hold, and how easily their meanings can be distorted.
Precisely. It's a reminder that we need to be critical consumers of information, questioning the narratives we're presented with, and understanding the historical context behind symbols and ideologies.
It's like being a detective, constantly looking for clues and piecing together the puzzle, to arrive at a more nuanced understanding of the world around us.
Exactly. We can't just passively accept the narratives we're given. We need to dig deeper, ask questions, and challenge assumptions.
Thind's story is a potent example of that. He challenged the assumptions about race and belonging in his time, and in doing so, he forced America to confront its own hypocrisy.
And his story continues to resonate today as we grapple with issues of immigration, identity, and belonging in an increasingly interconnected world.
So what does all of this mean for us today? Why should we care about the story of Bhagat Singh Thind, the Yamnaya people, and the twisted history of the Aryan myth?
It raises an important question about the responsibility we all have when engaging with information, especially in our current age of information overload. We can't just passively absorb whatever we read or hear. We have to be critical thinkers, questioning sources, evaluating evidence, and considering multiple perspectives.
It's about being active participants in the construction of knowledge, right? Not just accepting what we're told, but seeking out diverse voices and perspectives to form our own informed opinions.
Exactly, and that's especially crucial when it comes to issues of race and identity. We have to be mindful of the language we use, the assumptions we make, and the historical baggage that certain terms carry. Because words have power. They can be used to connect us, but they can also be weaponized to divide and discriminate.
Finn's story is a stark reminder of that. He was denied citizenship based on a word, white, a word loaded with arbitrary and ever-shifting meanings. And that denial had real, tangible consequences for him and countless others.
His story is not just a historical curiosity, it's a call to action. We need to be vigilant against attempts to revive these harmful ideas, to distort history, and to deny the fundamental equality and interconnectedness of all human beings.
It's amazing how one man's story can unravel so many layers of history, right?
Yeah.
And spark such important conversations. Thinking about Finn's journey, it's hard not to wonder about all the others who faced similar injustices because of their race or origin.
You're absolutely right. Finn's experience wasn't unique. It reflects a broader pattern of discrimination woven into the fabric of American history. For a long time, the very concept of who could become an American citizen was deeply intertwined with racist ideas about whiteness.
And it makes you think, how do we reconcile with that past? How do we acknowledge the harm caused by these policies while also recognizing the progress that's been made?
That's the crucial question. It's not about erasing history,
Right.
but about learning from it, understanding the complexities, and working to build a more just and equitable future.
It's about recognizing that the fight for equality is an ongoing process. And Finn's story reminds us that individuals have the power to push for change, to challenge unjust systems, and to demand recognition of their humanity.
Exactly. His perseverance in the face of adversity is truly an inspiration. He didn't give up on his dream of becoming an American. And in doing so, he helped pave the way for a more inclusive understanding of what it means to be American.
It's a powerful reminder that even within flawed systems, individuals can make a difference. And it highlights the importance of legislation, like the 1935 law that granted citizenship to WWI veterans in righting past wrongs.
Yes, policies and laws have a huge impact on shaping our society. And the Thind case is a stark example of how those policies can be used to exclude and discriminate, but also how they can be reformed to promote justice and inclusion.
It's a reminder that we're not just passive observers of history. We have the power to shape it. We can learn from the mistakes of the past, challenge discriminatory policies, and advocate for a more just and equitable world.
That's a powerful message to take away from Thin's story. It's not just a tale about one man's struggle for citizenship. It's a call to action for all of us to be more aware, more engaged, and more committed to building a society where everyone has the opportunity to belong.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive, wouldn't you say? We've explored the fascinating connections between language, history, and identity, uncovered disturbing truths about the manipulation of science, and ultimately found hope in the resilience of the human spirit.
It's been a journey through time and across cultures, and I hope it's left our listeners with a deeper understanding of these complex issues and a renewed commitment to challenging injustice wherever they see it.
If you've enjoyed this exploration of history, language, and the fight for belonging, be sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more fascinating conversations like this one. We'll see you on the next dive.